Was Furby a spy? Will your Beanie Babies collection make you a millionaire? Well, let's dive right into the ever-changing, ever-evolving world of toys. Toy trends and pop culture. Right now, Baby Yoda toys are all the rage, which is good news for all of us because Baby Yoda is just about the cutest thing on the planet, which actually is a running theme with toys. Since toys are generally marketed to children, the cute factor is an important indicator of whether or not a toy will sell. Baby Yoda also falls under the Star Wars umbrella of toys, which we learned in 1977 is actually highly profitable. In '77, Star Wars action figures were the breakout toy of the year. The action figures based on the movie were a resounding success and a valuable lesson for both the toy industry as well as the entertainment industry. The Star Wars franchise paved the way for toy and movie tie-ins. Heck, merchandise sales made more money than the box office did, and Star Wars sold a lot of movie tickets. So before releasing a new movie, the big question movie executives are asking these days is, can we put out a line of toys based on this film? Looking at animated films like Toy Story and Cars and the DC and Marvel superhero movies, the answer is yes. But toys don't become a hit just by being in the movies. In the 1980s, one of the biggest toy trends were Cabbage Patch Kids. These dolls were all the rage and caused quite the commotion when they hit store shelves. Getting one of these to give as a gift at Christmas time was not an easy task. Think about your worst shopping experience and multiply it by 10. If you're a 90s kid, then chances are you had a Tickle Me Elmo. Based on the Sesame Street character, the battery-powered giggling toy definitely upped the cuteness factor. Once the 2000s hit, some toy companies decided to take a new approach. Forget about prim and proper Barbie. This was the year of the Bratz. That's Bratz the dolls. These dolls were the anti-Barbie and extremely popular. But not all toys are cute. In fact, some are downright scary, like the Monster High dolls that were dominating the marketplace in 2010. Created by Mattel, these fashionable monster dolls were inspired by the sci-fi, horror, monster, vampire, pop culture craze of the time. Toys on TV and the web. As is the proven case with Star Wars, entertainment tie-ins can make the ground tremor and even change the toy landscape. Television has also played a big role in the toys we play with, and we're not just talking about the commercials. Toy companies quickly figured out that a really good way to sell toys was to have a TV show based on those toys. Animated series like My Little Pony, the Care Bears, and even the Transformers were must-see TV for kids in the 80s and 90s. These shows were also a driving force behind the popularity of the toys themselves, which of course led to increased sales. While these shows were basically created to sell toys, the reverse is also true. The popularity of a television show often leads to its own line of toys. In the 1970s, The $6 Million Man was one of the top shows on TV. So, of course, the next thing to do was release a whole line of toys based on the show. In the 90s, maybe you were all about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. While Raphael and the gang may have started out in comic books, their television show helped sell over $1 billion worth of Turtles toys. Today, the toys may not have their own TV shows, but they just might have their own web series. In this high-tech age, toy companies realize that a web presence is a must. Kids of today want more than just to play dress-up with Barbie or race their Hot Wheels down the hall. They want to see what adventures their favorite toys are up to by watching videos and web series. The 2000s brought about an influx of interactive toys. This often involved stuffed animals or figures that would go hand in hand with a website. Toys like Webkinz came with a code to access a website where you could play with your character in the online world. Today's kids might be more interested in watching unboxing videos of the latest toys on YouTube, a far cry from watching all the toy commercials during Saturday morning cartoons back in the day. Some toy classics. Some classics like Barbie, stuffed animals, and action figures cross generations. These are the toys that have evolved over the years and tend to stay fairly relevant. They now walk, they talk, there are bigger and better accessories, each sold separately, of course. With the release of special editions, many of these toy companies maintain their stronghold on the world of toys. But let's go back to a simpler time, pre-internet, when the Beatles were on top of the charts and everything was groovy. That's right, in 1960, the Etch-a-Sketch drawing toy hit stores and cost a whopping $2.99. Nowadays, you can get one for a wide array of prices on Amazon, ranging anywhere from about $15 to $30. A true classic, Etch-a-Sketch made an appearance in Toy Story in 1995, and because of these 12 seconds of screen time, there was a jump in sales, and Etch-a-Sketch employees had to work overtime just to meet demand. Another toy that is still high on the fun list to this day is actually a 1970s invention, Nerf toys. Founded by Parker Brothers and now owned by Hasbro, Nerf balls were a real game changer. Parker Brothers marketed the new foam toy as the first indoor ball that could ease parents' worries about broken household items, and 4 million Nerf balls were sold in its first year on the market. Today, it's more about the ever-growing line of Nerf blasters that continues to have a large, avid following, and not just among the kids. I mean, who says you have to be under a certain age to have fun? No one! Another classic toy that appealed to kids of all ages was the Rubik's Cube. Invented in the 70s, but really hitting its stride in the 80s, this one made you think. Like, I think I can do it, I think I can do it. Well, whether you could or couldn't put the puzzle back together again, over 350 million of the toy cubes have been sold since its debut, making it the top-selling puzzle game ever. Yes, toys are generally intended for the much younger generation, but fun is universal, and sometimes a good old game of Guitar Hero or even a moment with a fidget spinner is necessary at any age. Toy collectibles. Some of the inanimate objects we held so dear as kids are also sometimes still held dear as adults, only now we call them collectibles instead of toys. Let's look at our most beloved toys, stuffed animals. Now, we love our cats, dogs, bunny rabbits, and other animals in real life, so it makes sense that children would absolutely adore a cuddly, soft, stuffed toy that looks just like their favorite friends from the animal kingdom. But perhaps the wildest stuffed animal moment was the Ty Beanie Babies craze of the 1990s. Released in 1993, Beanie Babies were small stuffed animals with plastic pellets, aka beans, inside as stuffing. Because of the incredibly high resale value of Beanie Babies, many looked at purchasing these toys as a financial investment. It's even been said that they were one of the first internet sensations in 1995. So that's toy history meeting financial history meets the internet. While yes, there are still a few Beanie Babies that are worth thousands of dollars, the majority of them are not. Beanie Babies crashed just like the stock market. However, there are some toys that are always going to stand out from the others in the toy box. The funny thing is, it's only if you didn't play with them and kept them in tip-top condition that you could be sitting on a gold mine. Certain Barbies, Star Wars action figures, Hot Wheels cars, Pokemon cards, and comic books have sold for a few $1,000s up to a few million big ones. You may have even had one of these in your room as a kid. If only you knew. Maybe you wouldn't have cut Barbie's hair or attempted the jump of all jumps by launching that Hot Wheels car from a third-floor balcony. Toys and technology. While wind-up and mechanical toys have been mass-produced for over a century, they soon lost their luster with the appearance of battery-powered toys. Now, most of these toys use their battery power to light up, make noise, or move in some way. The technology of the day played a role in making this next toy a star. The Easy Bake Oven received all of the accolades in 1963. Using incandescent light bulbs as the heat source, it was essentially a mini oven. By 1997, more than 16 million Easy Bake Ovens had been sold. Now that's a lot of tiny cakes. Fast forward a few decades, and another tech toy craze was the Tamagotchi. 1997's toy of the moment was the electronic pet you could keep on your keychain or in your pocket. The goal of this toy was to keep it alive, fed, clean, and all around just looking good. You basically just had to keep the toy kicking by checking in and pressing a few buttons. These were absolutely awesome, and they taught kids about responsibility, which, once you reach adulthood, is always a plus. Another 90s toy tech wow moment can be attributed to the cute and furry sensation known as Furby. Released in 1998 by Tiger Electronics, Furby was a hamster/owl-looking creature that could speak. The toys started out speaking their own language of Furbish and then would learn English as they quote-unquote grow. Furbies were wildly popular, but also wildly suspect. So suspect, in fact, that the NSA banned them from their buildings. No Furbies were allowed on the National Security Agency's premises due to a fear that the Furbies could record and transmit confidential state secrets. The name is Furby, James Furby. Well, we can't talk about toys and technology and not have video games enter the chat. And while yes, technically in 1979, the Atari 2600 was the biggest home gaming system, allowing users to play beloved arcade games such as Pac-Man, by the 1980s, it was Nintendo rocking the gaming world. Nintendo first dominated toy sales with the introduction of the Nintendo Entertainment System, NES, for at-home gaming. And then in 1989, boom, they shook things up again and gave us the Game Boy. Yes, there were handheld gaming devices before, but with a Game Boy, you could swap out cartridges and play different games. This was no Coleco electronic football game. With the advancements in video game technology, these old game systems seem almost archaic when compared to video gaming today. In 2020, the video game industry was said to be worth over $150 billion worldwide. So yeah, that's a lot of quarters. The future of toys. The nostalgia factor surrounding toys is enough to make you smile and simultaneously ache for water fights with super soakers, trips to Toys R Us, moments tending to your Cabbage Patch Kids, and even snuggling with your Care Bears. But the future is here, and it's virtual reality friendly and technologically advanced. We can now enter other dimensions that were artificially built for us instead of relying on our own imaginations to create them. Kids are playing with iPads and interactive games on the web. We can only anticipate that the future will involve more screen time, more intensity, and more technological advancements. Is a robot Barbie in our not-so-distant future? Artificial intelligent Lego that builds itself? If Furby was a security risk, just imagine the uproar the next generation of toys could cause. Odds and ends. Here's a few toy-related fun facts. In the mid-70s, a man had an idea for a collectible toy. He sold pet rocks packaged in a cardboard box, complete with breathing holes, so your pet rock had access to oxygen, and sold each one for $4. Believe it or not, the pet rock was a sensation and he became a millionaire. The fad passed, but not before kids and grown-ups alike had purchased over 1 million of the rocks. Now, when it comes to toys, did you know that McDonald's is considered the biggest toy distributor in the world? They hand out over 1 billion toys a year in their Happy Meals. It looks like even Mickey D's has a side hustle. How many times as a kid did you stuff your whole arm into the cereal box trying to get your hands on the toy inside? Well, you can thank cereal giant General Mills for that. While Kellogg's may have been the first to put a prize in a cereal box, in the 1960s, General Mills bought a bunch of non-food companies and created a toy division. They then used their cereals to promote the toys, making kids everywhere base their breakfast choice on the toy that came inside the box. Oh, gotta run. Just heard the Easy Bake Oven timer go off. Thank you so much for watching. Tap or click on another great video and help us grow by hitting the subscribe button and ringing the notification bell.